U.S. News just came out with this article saying America first, ? The best countries in the world according to Americans. Okay. I don't know who they got these polls from, but again, the annual best countries ranking by the U.S. News, the United States dropped to number 5 from number 1 as determined by perception-based analysis of over 17,000 respondents worldwide. However, when considering American respondents alone, the ranking improved with the top 3 countries being UK, they went up 8, plus 8. New Zealand went up 6. And U.S. went up 2. The U.S. ranked number 2 for attributes like entrepreneur spirit, strong consumer brands, easy access to capital, culturally significant entertainment, and being a place people would live. American respondents also viewed their country are more favorably in areas such as affordability, plus 38 spots, scenic beauty, plus 37 spots, racial equity, plus 27 spots, and environmental concern, plus 2 spots. Compared to global perceptions, Americans viewed their country as less transparent. In government practices, minus 61 spots.
Wow.
Damn.
Wow.
Business practices, minus 39 spots. And less favorable tax environment, minus 27 spots.
Wow.
And income equality, minus 21 spots. So Americans viewed their country.
Wow.
Their country. Do you think America is still the greatest country in the world?
Do I think that America is still the greatest country? I think America has always been the greatest experiment in the world. An experiment with freedom. And right now, I would say that we are failing in, like I said, our country is in decline. And I think every person can admit that. And many times I ask myself whether or not it's an illusion, you know, whether democracy is an illusion, whether freedoms are an illusion. And I think especially coming out of COVID, we really saw how unfree America was and how really it's become a bureaucracy. There's just a bunch of bureaucrats in D.C. that are running everything. And so what America was supposed to be as established by the founding fathers, yes, I think that is the most incredible vision that has ever been brought forth, the American experiment. And that is what I fight for every single day. It's the reason why I get up out of bed, because I know that it's possible for us to get back there. And it starts with everybody becoming disillusioned.
Do you agree with this one guy named Joe? I think his name is Joseph Biden. I don't know if you know this guy or not.
I don't think he knows who this guy is.
I think
no idea.
You're right. By the way, we can play a clip. If you can play this clip of, is it Kirby? If you
Pat, before you play the clip,
They told me
I
it's
want to
time
ask
to
you the
stop now
same
and take a
question
nap.
you just asked Candace, because you're best known for that line that they said about you on Fox News, born in Iran, made in America.
Yeah.
You see these polls, you know, UK, I can tell you that UK is not number 1 based on personal experience. What would you say? Are we still the greatest country in the world?
I say 100% we still are, but at the same time, I'm the optimist. I'm the synergist who's extremely paranoid. Naturally, I'm a startup entrepreneur. I'm a paranoid guy that we have to constantly fight to keep it together and call out bullshit. The best part about what's going on right now with America is, you know, the number used to be 40 immigrants. Now we have 51 million immigrants. It's the number 1 data to look at when you look at what country is the best country in the world. Why do we dominate the world in immigration? People still want to come here, not other places. For me, if the country is so bad, why are still people wanting to come here, not other places?
Because we're weak?
Well, it could be because our borders are wide open on the bottom. I agree with that.
Like you can't get into Japan. They don't care if you're born there, live there. They're like, you're never becoming a citizen.
But guess what? You got a lot of other options to go to. People still from the Middle East, they dream about coming to America. People still from, Russia, other places, still want to come here. China's net migration is in the negative. They're losing people.
I think it's because we control, and that speaks to the poll that you mentioned about cultural significance. I think that we dominate Hollywood, we dominate the media, and they have an idea of what America is. And I think probably when they get here, it's not what they thought.
So what would be a better country?
I'm just saying that, like, I'm just trying to think of why people want to get to America, because at one point we were those things. I always liken it to what I thought Los Angeles was gonna be before I got there. I remember my whole life I was like dreaming to go to Los Angeles.
Hollywood.
Yes, I was like, Hollywood. Oh my God, amazing. Yeah. And then when I had my first trip out to LA,
horrible.
I was like, this looks like a dilapidated South American city.
Yeah.
I would say, let me give you another perspective on this to be thinking about. In America, you still have 50 options, okay? You can live in America and have 50 choices, meaning you don't like California, go to Florida. By the way, Newsom has to answer the question, why under your watch the greatest state lost people since 1851. And why are they still losing money? Why is it that data comes out showing the AGI, the top 10 highest tax states in America, lost $341 billion of tax revenue, and the bottom lowest tax states gained $341 billion? You have to make the argument. So in America, you have options to go different places. I can go to a different region and have to have low regulation. You know, people in Florida are complaining about the fact that teachers, the teachers who are woke, they're not protected in Florida. Great, go to California. Totally okay with that. So that's the thing about America. Because it has the Constitution set up the way it is, you can compete. And if you don't like the policies in a state, there's still another state for you.
Yeah.
And if you want to, find a way to improve, run for office, do something about it. You can change. But, these things, there's options in America. Tom, I think you're going to say something.
Yeah, and this story we're talking about, the ranking, you have to understand how these rankings are done. This is the media putting together this ranking, asking people about 20 questions. What do you think about America for sports, for economy, for scenic beauty, all these things? And then they make the ranking together. Americans did not say, I have UK number 1, New Zealand number 2, and USA number 3. First of all, if I showed most Americans a map of the Hawaiian Islands and I said, which one is New Zealand? They'd pick one. So, let's talk about reality. But you understand, they make a ranking out of this, and then U.S. News, not known for centrist values, comes out and says Americans ranked. No, Americans didn't rank. They asked a bunch of perceptions, and they put together basically a golf score, and America ends up in 3rd place. And so I think that there's also things going on like that, where the media is trying to find ways to kind of propagate this "we ain't so good." And I'm with you on the vision. I have tremendous hope and confidence in the future vision. Do I think that there needs to be bottoming points, like when an alcoholic uncle reaches the bottom and decides he's going to change? I think countries need those bottoming points. I still think this is the greatest place. I agree that it's the greatest parchment ever produced in terms of the American experiment. But I also think that right now we have a ton of issues. And number one is we can't have our own national media trying to find the good in it instead of gleefully talking about a stack ranking, which if Americans had actually spent one day in London, they'd come back home and they'd be voting a hell of a lot different.
This is where I was going with Candace before you asked me about how I felt about it.
Sorry to rant.
No, I love that.
Which
that
I
was
think
fantastic.
needs to be expressed.
I'm totally okay with that. No, what I was going to ask is, Joe is Kirby's being interviewed and being asked about, hey, how do you feel about where Joseph Biden is, where the president is, comments he's making, all this other stuff. And, he says the biggest issue in America is white supremacy. What do you think the biggest issue in America today is?
Oh gosh, the white supremacy. They're just never going to let it go. They're never going to let it go. I think I've testified twice on hearings where they are trying to tell you that white supremacy is the biggest issue.
You were at the hate crime hearing where you just ruined everybody. You fact-checked everybody in real time. Jerry Nadler, everybody was like, you had everybody stunned, which was amazing. If people haven't seen it, go check that.
And that's infuriating because I remember I said in my congressional testimony, if I had to make a list of 100 things that were impacting Americans, white supremacy wouldn't make the list. And I mean that seriously. Gosh, what would be first? That's a very good question. I can give you a few things that are ranked very importantly, but I don't want to say what I would say is first. But the family unit being destroyed is if it's not one, it's two. What's happening with families and the government's creeping into our homes in regards to making people believe that marriage is not aspirational, that only happens in a society that's heading towards Marxist ideologies. And that is literally the Karl Marx doctrine, right? That if a government wants full omnipotence, it has to break down the family unit because the family unit stands in opposition to government omnipotence. So I would probably say every ill that we're seeing in society right now, which you might think are unrelated, are actually all related to destroying the family unit. So sometimes you say, why are they on this climate change thing? And then you go, why are they fighting trans bathroom signs? And what's with this LGBTQ stuff? If you examine all of these issues and you realize what they have in common, it's that they are attacking families. So climate change, they're telling children, don't have kids. Don't have kids. It's irresponsible. The planet's not going to be here for 10 years. Meghan and Harry got an award because they agreed to only have 2 kids. Yeah. It's about the shrinking of the family unit, it's totally bizarre. The LGBTQ stuff, if kids are chopping off their parts, they're not going to have a productive family. Yeah. There's no nuclear family unit. If it's 2 lesbians or two gay people, more power to the government. You've got to turn to the government to even have a child, which is now coming down the pipeline with all of those things. And so, when I examine examine every issue that we're fighting, you can see that what the government is actually doing is trying to interrupt the family unit. So I would say that that's the number one issue.
And
Your friend Larry Elder said the exact same thing. He put that at number one.
He put number one.
Oh, did he?
Big
Wow.
fan.
And then he, I mean, obviously a guy like that said
Fatherless
very nice
households.
things.
I want to see what else she's going to say.
Fatherless
Let me see what else she's going to say. What else would you say?
Well, so I was saying, like, I would put family issues first because every other societal ill follows it, you know? So even when I'm talking about
it.
the education system, right, and what's going on, and kids are getting systematically dumber across Baltimore. They can't find a single child that's proficient in reading and writing, but talk to the kid about BLM and they're going to be like, oh, yeah, no, absolutely. They're training little Marxists. The kids actually know nothing. They're essentially toddlers. Like when you see a toddler throwing a temper tantrum, they don't understand why. And so they just blame rich people, right? It must be because of rich people that I failed in life. No, it's because you literally couldn't pass a basic reading exam and your life was cut off for you before you even graduated. But when you look at that, again, it brings you back to the family unit. Culture is a major problem. Hollywood and culture is definitely up there. But they're, again, reinforcing the breakdown of family, the overt sexualization, the perversion. I mean, that's what I'm saying about not importing American values. That is one of the most... I would say that is the most disgusting thing right now that's happening in America is this the over sexualization of our culture. And I look at other countries and I'm like, no, I'd much rather be importing those values, right? What are we exporting right now? When you look at what celebrities are endorsing and the overt sexuality, obviously you brought up that I did the Whatever podcast. You broke my heart to sit across from a 22-year-old who sleeps with 10 men a night. And her answer is, well, I make money, you know?
Yeah.
I make $100,000 a year. You're 22 years old and you look like you're possessed by a demon because you are, right? Our culture is demonic. And
where would you put feminism on this? Because that's essentially what it comes down to:
on the family,
the monetization and the sexualization and the commoditization.
Feminism is the number one
women.
attack on family, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what are they telling women? Men ain't shit. You know, you don't
Get your
need
bag,
a man.
girl. You don't need
Get
no
your
man.
bag. Yeah, that's disgusting. You shouldn't be having children. There's a whole culture called dinks on TikTok. Dual income, no kids. Yeah, you know, they're getting millions of views. My life is so great. I don't have. This is literally the simulation right now that women are existing under and believing that they shouldn't be, that men are crap. And by the way, there's a response to that, which we can talk about. I talk a lot about masculinity and the decline of masculinity because feminists have been bashing men over the head about being men and how men don't have a lot of leaders and people that they can rely on. And so we're just now kind of seeing a response to the hyper feminization of culture, which is what we are suffering from right now. We are living in a matriarchy. The illusion is that it's patriarchy. It is in fact a matriarchy. Everything that we are dealing with right now is because people are emotional. Women have power. Women are in positions of power, and they're we are more emotional than men. Most women are more emotional than men.
What about someone like Chelsea Handler? So I do another show when I'm not doing PBD that it discusses this exact same topic, right? And Chelsea Handler like attacked me. I went back at her.
Oh my God.
We went back and forth, and you know, she's like, "This is what an alpha."
Yeah.
But you know,
I think it's flirting.
I think it was hardcore flirting.
you know, I'm into those 50-year-old
that drink vodka at 8 a.m.
alcoholic drug addicts.
Well, you're not
too.
married yet. I thought that was step one.
You've gone to you've been not so kind, and you went to war with Sarah Silverman, the Chelsea Handler, these almost 50-year-old women who could have had any guy they wanted in their 20s, beautiful, smart, intelligent, what have you. You obviously chose a totally different
And then
path.
they started snorting feminism and look
100%.
what their lives are.
And you consider yourself a trad wife, I would assume.
Yeah.
You somehow have this balance of being, you know, beautiful, but also intelligent, but also a mom and also a career woman. Like, so essentially, what's your message for women out there? Can you actually have it all? Or do you kind of have to pick the trad wife or the career wife?
You need to prioritize. Yeah, you need to prioritize. And I think the answer for most women is prioritize your family, no question. No question. You know, there are some women that I would say, I met this girl and she probably shouldn't be a mom, right?
Yeah.
But the truth is that your greatest superpower that you will ever tap into, I have never been more confident in who I am, more sure of myself than since I became a mother. You know, getting married and becoming a mother. Yeah.
Can I give you a little maybe pushback?
Yeah.
If you had to choose one, meaning mother, 3 kids, Candace Owens, political pundit, Daily Wire.
Really?
You'd give it all up just to be a mother.
Heartbeat, yeah.
Why don't women
Not
understand that exact same topic?
Because it's not talked about culturally, because I'm considered counterculture, right? That's not mainstream. How are you saying that? How dare you say that? Women are being told that they should be like men. By the way, we're getting the worst end of the deal. I don't know who sat down and had the feminist meeting in the beginning and was like, hey, so here's how we're really going to make men lose. First, we're just going to keep sleeping with them with no commitment, right? We're going to just going to be
Thanks,
hoes,
ladies.
right? Yeah. Oh, men are really going to hate that.
We're going to trick them.
And then we're going to be naked
You
on
got
the
me.
internet all the time. We're just going to put our boobs out there. We're going to fight to free the nipple.
Right.
Men are really going to hate that.
And we're also going to work our asses off just like men.
Yeah. And then we're going to say, we're going to work just like you. And we're going to bring in the same amount. Men are really going to, I don't know. This is the worst deal ever. I'm like, wait. Do you mean to tell me that there was a time where we got to just be at home and cook and hang out with other women and raise our kids and somebody ruined that? Bring me that woman.
Yeah.
Do you think, like...
And on top of that, men get to compete in your sport.
Yeah.
And that's okay, because that's noble. That's noble.
And who supported that? Women.
Yeah.
Women.
Feminists.
You know how they say, like, progressives, you can't stop something as it's progressing. Is this the one issue that you think can regress? Like, women will be like, I don't know how many women are like, that's it. I'm going back to the home. I'm putting my apron on. I'm going to be a good wife.
I think
Do you
now,
actually think that's realistic, though?
I do. I think it's happening because what we're getting to now is the end of that overt sexualization period. And I always say to people, I'm like, examine the women that are telling you that this is going to bring you happiness. Who are the women that are out there that have told you that this is the way to go? Where are their lives right now? Are they married? Nope. Multiple partners? Yes. By the time they get to Chelsea Handler's age, and why I always use her as an example is because I was a huge fan of Chelsea Handler when I was younger. I thought she was so funny. I always watched Chelsea lately, and I bought all of her books. And obviously, she wrote extensively. She actually wrote about her multiple abortions, things of that nature. So she had a chance at family, and she chose against it because she decided that she was going to be young and beautiful forever, and she isn't and wasn't going to be young and beautiful forever, right? And so Chelsea Handler's a perfect example because when you play with feminism for too long and you can't go backwards, it inevitably ends with Xanax and wine and prescriptions and misery. Yeah. And now Chelsea Handler is realizing that biology is always going to trump sociology in the end. In the end, biology sits back and it wins, right?
Father Time is undefeated.
Right. It's literally, it wins. And so now she's got nothing to nurture. And what happens is those women then start looking for a social philosophy, a social justice movement that they can try to turn into the son and daughter that they don't have, right? I'm like, and does anybody really think Chelsea Handler cares about like Dylan Mulvaney being allowed to go into the right path? No, of course she doesn't. Nobody could care that much about Dylan Mulvaney. I mean, when I heard her crying on her podcast, I was like, you need a child so bad.
Yeah, Adam,
so
get
I'm like,
see
you
what I
want to
could do.
babysit Chelsea?
Well, she can't have kids anymore. Question, Candace, last question on this topic. Where do you draw the line? Meaning, all right, so women should go to high school. Obviously, women should go to college. You went to college. Mm-hmm. Okay, you go to college for what reason? To get a return on your investment, to get a job. Okay, I get a job. I'm making money. You said you paid back $150,000 in student loans.
I never did.
You've made something your career.
I made a mistake.
You made a career.
Should have waited.
Yeah.
But like, are you saying that women shouldn't go to college? Like I interviewed this guy, Nick Fuentes, if you know who he was, communications director for Kanye, which I'm sure we could talk about. But he said women should not go to college. They shouldn't even finish high school, basically. Just stay your ass there.
Most people should not go to college. Okay. I just want to make that very clear.
I'm with you.
Forget not women or men. Yes. It is, what are you going to college for? I went to college because there was a peer pressure campaign in high school. If you don't go to college, you're going to be a failure. And I think that that's the reason most people go to college, is because the idea of being the kid that goes to community college it means that you're the kid that's a loser and failed.
You're the
so everybody
kid.
Signs up for loans with money that they don't have, which marries you further to the state. Sally Mae loans are the ones that I took out, which were egregious. I didn't understand anything I was signing because I didn't come from a wealthy family. I was first generation college kid. I was completely taken advantage of and started my life in mass debt for a journalism degree. Does that sound like something that any person should be doing? It's completely irrational. I actually think there needs to be a collapse of the scam of college. People should be getting internships out of high school to figure out what the heck they want to do before they waste a bunch of money on a meaningless degree. The majority of people are wasting their money. I don't know many people that are using their actual degree in the real world, right? Yeah. The girls go and they sign up and they do fashion and marketing design, and the guys, if you're doing you want to be a doctor and for sure that's what I want to do. Yeah, sure. Go to college if you have that vision and you're sure of yourself. But right now, the whole college scam is what needs to collapse.
Well, you did a video called "College is a Scam."
It is.
So it's you have no idea how many girls that I talk to and interview. They go to college, they graduate, and they become bartenders or servers. And
So
I'm
they
like,
can pay off their debts.
I'm like, why the hell did you even go to college? Like, I don't know, I was supposed to. But you did a video, "College is a Scam." But you want your kids to go to college? Your girls are going to college. Like, how do you guys as parents grapple with what she's saying?
I've answered this question a couple times, and I've talked about STEM, and I'm very clear with my girls. It says I'll fund STEM, I'll fund skills that are going to be applicable with an appropriate ROI. And, you know, we have set aside the funds for their college education and up the amount twice in the last 10 years so that we could have enough getting there. And I think the price is a little crazy, but I'll fund STEM. I'll absolutely fund STEM. You know, hey, I want to go with my boyfriend Philippe to the Sorbonne and study art history. Well, I hope his effing parents are wealthy and can cover you because I will not be. So I'll go that route. And also, you know, I think, you know, cardiologists, physicians, nuclear physicists. I think none of that should be self-taught in the garage, specifically nuclear physicists, and that there's a reason for STEM. There's a reason for STEM, but also Ann Coulter, you'll probably know about this, made a great point. She said, if someone was graduating high school, she said, and the plumber is sitting there in his best and only suit that he has, proudly looking at his son graduating, and says, my son's coming to work for me as a plumber. And says, why? And the kid says, because I make $60 an hour working with my dad's company. And everybody goes, a plumber makes $60 an hour? Kids don't have any idea about trades. This is where I think, in terms of gap years, Israel gets it right. Because you have service of country and you have disciplines that come out of that. And they all don't stay in the military, but they sure as hell come out with disciplines and appreciation for
No
country.
question about that.
That's right.
No question
Absolutely.
about that.
Pat, but you have boys and girls.
Yeah.
So do you have a different approach with what you would say to Tico and Dylan versus?
Same answer as Tom gave. I'm on the same page as Tom is. Okay, for me, if Dylan plays sports and he looks like he's going that route, he gets a scholarship to play sports and he wants to go to the next level, play professionally, it's a completely different discussion. Tico wants to go do movies and Patrick wants to go do movies and stuff like that. We're already talking about that. Senna in Brooklyn's...
Brooklyn wants to do a sweet
she's
bakery
the most
shop.
animated Bet-David and the family. She's ridiculous how animated she is.
hilarious.
Senna's a princess. Senna's going to do whatever. She gets the world from me.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.